Thank y'all for attending. We'll try to stay on time. Before I really get started and rolling this one with some of the hot topics that have been up for discussion, I would like the judge to inform us what occurred yesterday at Commissioner's Court, and we will move forward after that. Would you mind, Judge?
Yes, sir. So yesterday, of course, the court's been fortunate to be a part of listening to the presentation before, so it made it a lot easier yesterday to be able to visit with them. But we did have discussions yesterday, and the court voted to join the alliance and further to the $92,000 estimate that we have for getting through the first part to fund that as well. And so we're pleased to be able to try to hopefully get this thing moving forward and give people an opportunity. Again, we think it's important that everybody gets to this table and starts working on the issue. I would like to thank Maggie with the DA's office and Cole for working on the agreement. There were some things they worked back and forth on, and I appreciate you guys getting that done. We did get the final version yesterday, and I know it's on my desk for a signature, so when we get out of this meeting, we'll sign that and we'll be officially done on our side.
Thank you, Judge. And I would like to take the opportunity to personally thank each one of the commissioners. You know, they've been here day in, day out, listening to the meetings going on, and for them to step up to the plate and vote on that yesterday, that's huge from Medina County. I can't thank you guys and ladies and gentlemen for what y'all did yesterday. So thank you very much. With that, moving forward, I do know there was some debate going back and forth on the alliance draft. As the judge stated, Cole has pretty much, I think, redlined that all the way out to where it's met everybody's approval. Cole, if you'd like to speak on that.
Yeah, I can speak to it real quickly. You've all seen the draft in various forms over the past several months. The most recent draft I sent out yesterday includes some changes. The most substantive change is that we went from being just a general agreement to an agreement under the Interlocal Cooperation Act. And essentially that recognizes that each of the parties are either a political subdivision of the state of Texas under some general law, or with respect to water supply corporations, they're entering under the pretenses of water development, which is something that's authorized under statute. So that's the only substantive change. There's some strings that are attached to that, but essentially it would close off. One of the effects is it's going to close off participation by any private entities. And then, of course, in future meetings, once this is assigned, we'll have to abide by Open Meetings Act and Public Information Act, and that's all sort of drafted out in the agreement. It's a good practice anyway. It was already in there as a requirement, so no real changes there. And then I made some less substantive changes. It's mainly just to make sure everything is correct in describing all the participants. The one thing that might be in flex is ultimately the approval of everybody in their respective governing bodies. So as as folks start signing and approving the agreement, that budget might change slightly. It just depends on what your boards say. So if your boards have some issue with it, the agreement could potentially change. But I think as far as the substance goes, it's all there and ready for review and signature.
Anybody have any questions on that draft? If you need a copy, Elizabeth has several copies that she can give you a copy if you need one. Any other comments on the draft?
Everybody ready to sign up?
Yeah, we are ready. I think as far as sign up, I believe everybody has agreed with the exception of the cost. And I think it's back on their agenda for July 16th. I was hoping their mayor pro tem could be here, but unfortunately I don't see him. But I do know I was invited to their July 16th meeting, so it will be back on their agenda for the 16th. Yes, sir.
City Divine has a July 9th meeting. We have a meeting.
Okay, y'all have not? Okay. Do you need anybody to join you at that meeting? Are you good, or need questions answered? Or?
Yes, I need questions answered.
Okay, we can meet after the meeting if you want.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions with that? I will say one thing. I was asked this morning to make sure that everybody understands, and I thought they did, but maybe it's a little different from the vision I see, that, this alliance is not to take control of your water rights. That's not what this deal is about. This alliance is to make the most use out of everybody's water rights. You as an individual entity, whether you're the city or a water district, you still own your water rights and you still set your own destiny. This alliance has nothing to do with what you own as far as water rights.
Can I add something real quick on the agreement? The initial agreement, I think, it's a good start. We're not forming, I just want to clarify, we're not forming a legal entity. And so basically what the agreement is a framework for all of the parties who are agreeing to it to form an alliance. It's a contractual arrangement to be able to contract with subcontractors in order to carry out its intended purpose. It's broad enough to allow for to be nimble and flexible to the needs of each of the entities. But ultimately, I think it's just a start. At some point, once we get a feasibility study done and we have more direction on where to go, and after we've had some more conversations and done more due diligence, and when it comes time to start putting infrastructure in the ground at some point, it might make sense to create a special district, whether that's a PUA or some other type of wholesaler, freshwater supply district, something where each of the parties who are members of that alliance will have a seat at the table. And there's a number of examples throughout the state who do that. There's some options that require legislative approval. There's some that might just require county approval. So we can look at those and vet those options whenever it's appropriate.
Thank you. All right, the next thing that, sorry, Mr. Mangold.
I do have a question for Colin and the judge and everybody, and affects everybody, I imagine. And that's in the initial budget cost sharing. If I understood the judge right, the county is taking care of the $92,000. And so that's, the percentages will vary depending on what we have and how many meters and everything. But initial cost sharing that's in this draft, that's been changed since the county's picking it up.
Yeah, so the way that the agreement's written, structured right now is it authorizes Medina County to kind of step in and offset the cost to everybody. As I understand from yesterday's meeting, that's what's taking place. Of course, depending on the needs of the Alliance and what happens between now and September 30th, whenever the fiscal year ends, we'll have to have discussions about what's the next step. So that will be a future annual budget that's going to be adopted. It doesn't have to be part of the contract. But yeah, that essentially gets us through the end of the fiscal year.
Right.
And will get us the results of respect doing our.
And I might just add to that on ours. I know we were concerned about getting through fiscal years and what to do, but we're actually using ARPA funds for this money. So if for some reason it takes us a little longer past the fiscal year, it's not like we're rebudgeting and stuff on that money. So I think for the initial study part, we're covered if it goes beyond the end of the fiscal year, which is probably will where we are right now, I think.
And then once we get that feasibility study to be able to run with that, then we'll know where we would have to budget and hopefully some roughly amount. So, Kevin, Russ, do you have anything you want to add on the feasibility study? I mean, he sent me a document the other day, which I've already signed, to give him authority to move forward with it. Just for the sole purpose that even if the city didn't join, we were still moving forward. And when I say we, that's me, Yancey Water, and East Medina Bruce. We've agreed that this is important enough for the community that we were going to move forward one way or another.
Yeah, just I got an update since last time I coordinated with Black and Beach, who's the consultant for the water planning side, just to make sure scope-wise we were aligned. They had certain things on their side, so coordinated that. I did attend the City of La Coste meeting for their request. The last meeting, they tabled it, and then I think they had some discussions. I think my sense was that the concern was on the cost and the railroad cost, not their willingness to want to participate. So it sounds like they're going to take that back up again. And then we've got the contract. We'll be moving kind of full steam ahead here to try to meet the November basically deadline for the state water plan to get something back again. So.
One more thing that I'd like to add, you know,
Excuse me.
yes, sir.
Just before, we will probably need to be reaching out to each of the entities to maybe get a little bit on the inventory that you have. I mean, we get some of that off Drinking Water Watch, but it's not always exactly accurate. So just so you know, that we'll probably need some things. I mean, we can get your water rights from the Edwards, and I think we already have a lot of that, but there may be some facility things and locations of those facilities that we want to look at as we kind of work through this. So just a heads up, we may be asking you for a little bit of information.
Good, perfect, thank you. You know, I sit here and look out amongst everybody that has joined us and has joined us in the past, and this is probably one of the biggest diverse groups of people that have very little to do with water, other than a couple of us. You know, for a couple of us in the room, water is our living. I've not been working with water for potable water all my life, and I've been working with water all my life almost. It's a little different style of water than potable water, but I sense there are questions that need to be asked, and you're afraid to ask them because you're asking something, you're afraid somebody's going to say something. Please don't. If you have a question, please stop us, ask the question. You know, we may not have the answer, but we will dang sure try to get you an answer. I'm up here just because I started this process and thought the county needed to do this and move forward to help our community in a whole. It's not just because Yancey needs the help. I think the whole county needs the help. Not only the county itself, I'm talking to the residents of this county. So if you're not a water expert and you want something answered, do not be afraid to raise your hand and we'll call on you and see what your question is and we'll go from there, okay? So if anybody has any questions, please ask.
No, just if you wanted to introduce Andrea and Michelle, they're
Yeah. Is she, are you on the,
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning. Sorry, were you asking if I'm on the call today?
how are you, ma'am?
Good morning, everybody.
Do you have anything you would like to add?
No, I'm just here to answer any questions if people want to have questions about aquifer storage and recovery as a water supply technology or things from kind of the state level perspective in terms of upcoming projects. Yeah, so just feel free to call me. I might ask you to repeat a question. I can hear the folks on the dais okay, but sometimes it's a little difficult to hear folks sitting out in the pews.
We'll use that mic if anybody has questions out here, that way.
And just so everybody knows, Andrew is with the Texas Water Development Board out of Austin, and she typically has another lady with her. Unfortunately, I don't think she's here today, but she is an expert on that she is. You know, how do you doing?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Now, I am here, I am a regional water planner with the Texas Water Development Board out of Austin, and I am also here to address any questions or concerns that y'all might have, particularly at this stage, getting elements of the project into the regional water plan so that it is eligible for water development board funding programs.
Thank you, Michelle. Does anybody have any questions? Because if I can't answer them, these two ladies can.
Andrea, Michelle, can y'all hear this microphone?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you.
All right, if you have any questions or out here, if you would, just make sure you have the microphone and start asking so they can.
Anybody have any? Not even there. Good, thank you.
David Jordan, City of Divine. I was just wondering about the infrastructure projects. Is that just for, if each city has a project, you come and support it with this organization, or it's a county project infrastructure than the cities
I'll try to answer that the best I possibly can. I think from an infrastructure standpoint, it's really very premature for us to say that it would be solely based on the city or a water district. I think until the feasibility studies are completed from RESPEC, it's hard to say what that infrastructure really will need. There's some great things that as far as Medina County is concerned, there's a lot of infrastructure in the ground now that I think that we will probably be able to take advantage of. And at the end of the day, with that stated, it's really, I think for a long time, and I'll speak on our behalf, we didn't get involved in East Medina's business. They didn't get involved in our business. We didn't get involved in Divine's business. We didn't get involved in Honda. I think that is a thing of the past as far as the county's concerned. And in order for this alliance to work, we have to work as a team. We can't work as an individual group anymore. And if that means that Yancey needs to tie on to East Medina's so we can pass water through to get to them, that's what we got to do. I mean, it really, from a construction standpoint or a cost standpoint, if it's just using our pipe to push water through at no cost to Yancey, I could care less if I'm pushing 1 million gallons a day through for him. But that's the way we have to look at it, and that's all going to be based on the study that RESPEC reports.
Bruce Alexander with East Medina. To piggyback on that, Scooter, everybody still operates their systems independently. It's not like anybody's trying to take control of anything. But it gets us together as in a sense, kind of like a cooperative purchasing. We don't compete against each other for the purchase of water rights. We can buy them as a collective group and move them around between the membership. It allows us to work together in partnerships for transporting of water in different areas and things like that. It doesn't take away your independence, but it just allows us, there's economy of scale, so to speak, working together for a common good for everyone in the county. Right?
Amen.
Okay.
Very good question, thank you. Any more? And by the way, I should have opened the meetings for you that didn't keep up with the water level. We were back in stage 4 as of this morning. So, that's a big reason this alliance is started. The 40% reduction that we have to follow for EAA. It puts a strain on our business, and we need to take that strain off our business and give our community drinking water.
Ms. Brisket, I just want to add to this. I got asked a question I like the article was about in the newspaper. I think that was great. I think they're working on one for the Divine News. I have it on top of it. But I got asked the question, why now? Why not before? Well, Scooter and I, we've been talking about this for years. Okay? But over the last 3 years, I know we've experienced the major growth like everybody else has, both commercial and residential, and it's not stopping. It seems like we're in more restrictions, greater restrictions, more often. So it's a timing thing. I don't know if y'all know, but I'm actually the immediate past president of Texas Rural Water Association. Not everybody in here is a member of them, but most of us are. I know their team there was very active working with Senator Perry, and when we got the thing passed last year to put before the voters for the $1 billion set aside. That has a lot to do with why now too, because there's access to funding that there may not have been before to help move through some of these processes. So I just wanted to bring that up too. It's not like we haven't been talking about this. It's just the timing now to move forward. And it's only going to get tighter on water. So it's for the betterment of everybody in the county.
And to add on to what Bruce's comments and the participation that the county's doing for us, does not go unnoticed. But also the end of this, and I think I committed to the group early on that we would do everything we could to get grants to support this. I cannot guarantee grants. Michelle and them ladies cannot guarantee me grants, but there's a lot out there, and we're doing everything we can to try to get them. We're actually doing a team meeting tomorrow, myself and Elizabeth, to get moving on a grant for the feasibility study. Can't guarantee we'll get it, but we're damn sure going to try. Any other questions? Any other comments? Yes, sir, Brian.
How many sources are y'all looking at
There's not a
for
limit.
getting this water?
There's not a limit. That's all I can tell you. I would like to say everything's on the table at this point.
That's exactly what I said to the paper the other day. Everything's on the table. Everything's on the table.
You know, I'd like to say that y'all are an option, Cow Creek's an option, Edwards is an option. I mean, I don't want, everything at this point is on the table for them gentlemen to look at. And I think we'd be foolish if we put liners on, so that's, I think it needs to be a broad look. Anything else? Yes, sir.
After all this is kind of gets the ball rolling,
Just get the mic back there if you don't mind.
I'm sorry.
are we going to be having monthly meetings or milestone meetings just to keep us updated on the status of the feasibility report? You know, maybe the grant, the status of the grants, things like that.
Absolutely, that's what this one really is. Yes, to answer your question, you know, they may get shorter and sweeter, but I think it's only good if everybody has the knowledge that, you know, that it's not all kept in one county. Everybody needs to share the same knowledge.
I think it's important, and I know I don't have a microphone, but I'm going to talk louder. I think it's
Because they don't hear you online.
I think it's important that everybody knows that signing into this agreement, if you read parts of it, there's a representative from every entity or every water system, everyone serves on the board of directors for this whole thing. So it's keeping everybody informed through that because it's organized that nobody's left out. Everybody has a seat at the table on everything that's done.
Yeah, and there's actually in the contract a requirement to hold at least a quarterly meeting. And so, you know, a lot of times these organizations will have a requirement to have at least a quarterly meeting. But at the start of things, when things are busy, it might be monthly, it might be bi-weekly, it just depends on the needs and what's going on and how fast decisions need to be made. But the goal of having that document in place is sort of the constitution for the alliance, is to ensure that everyone's participating. At the end of the day, I think one of the guiding goals of this group is to ensure that everyone who's signed in not only has a seat at the table, but is participating and providing information that we may need to make decisions.
Thank you, Paul. Yes, ma'am.
Have there been other counties that have done water alliances, and how have y'all seen that be successful?
Great question. Yes, Saws is the biggest. I don't know what their percentage is as far as their alliance, but they do a lot of water. I do know they do the ASR, they do brackish water, they do the Vista Ridge project, which is East Texas water, and then Edwards water. Cole, I don't know if I can put you on the spot, but you may know more of a percentage of what their ASR actually is. Or Roland? Do you know?
I know that they have a capacity in their ASR storing up to 200,000 acre feet or thereabouts. That's on top of whatever their permitted rights are from the Edwards.
Okay, just Stephanie, so you understand 1 acre feet is 265,000 gallons.
325,000.
So, and they do 200,000 acre feet?
That's what they think their capacity is.
Just so you know.
I just want to make sure that we had, 15 years ago, we had what we called the South Texas Regional Water Alliance. We met down there primarily at Coste Rural Water. It was when Beer Net still existed, and we were trying to get together and organize City of Italian, Benton City, East Medina, trying to get together and try to talk about water needs and try to work together. That kind of fizzled out, and it really didn't get a lot of traction. So things kind of set dormant for there for a while. And with Scooter taking lead on this, this is for real where we're at now. So we're moving out. So there have been attempts to try to get together before, but just hasn't really panned out.
And Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the South Water Company from New Braunfels, which is, what was that company's name? That's doing the
Ruby Ranch.
Ruby Ridge.
Well, let's see, there is, Crystal Clear Sud is, evaluating that. Actually, the Braunfels utilities themselves are exploring that. And, the, Regional Water Authority actually has, ASR projects.
So that's, to answer your question, Stephanie, that's other ones that are looking, and just so you're aware as well, and Michelle, I think I'm correct, that it was the governor put $1 billion worth of funding out for new water, correct?
250.
At least 250 million is going to go specifically to new projects. That is currently being evaluated by the board, exactly how that breakout is going to work. But a minimum of 250 million specifically for new water supply projects, including projects such as ASR, and then potentially up to 750 million to funnel into existing eligible water development board funding programs, which include, the defund, the SWIFT, those sorts of things.
And I just want to confirm too, but there's also a large chunk that's specifically set aside for rural systems also, which we could qualify under that also.
Right.
Yes, we do have programs that are specifically for rural systems.
So I hope that answers your question, Stephanie.
Yeah, just to add real quick on the original question about other parts of the state or other counties that have formed alliances. There's a number of districts throughout the state that started out as alliances. Canyon Regional Water Authority, Alliance Regional Water Authority, North Texas Municipal Water District. These are all groups where cities and water providers have come together to sort of identify ways to get big projects in the ground without putting all the financial burden on just one constituency base or one ratepayer base. It's about really using that collective purchasing power to make the costs affordable for throughout the region. And so it's a regional approach to water planning, whereas historically it hasn't been so regional. And so I think one of the principles behind the $1 billion allocation to water projects was to encourage this type of discussion and these types of agreements to really put in some water infrastructure that can provide for the needs throughout the state.
Thank you, Cole. Anybody have anything else? The only back question is one that wasn't asked. None? Cole, You have anything to add?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is if, for those of you who have already taken it to your councils and boards to get this approved, let me know so we can circulate a draft for people to sign. If you have questions or you haven't gone to your board or your council yet, let me know. If you need somebody to show up and answer questions, we can coordinate with Scooter or whoever else is local. I'm happy to come down if I'm available to talk. You can call me if you have any questions pertaining to the agreement. I'm happy to just walk through those contractual issues if you have any questions. That's all I have.
Thank you. Russell?
The only other thing is, first of all, again, thank you to the group. I know on behalf of the county, we really appreciate everybody showing up and being at the table. And I think regardless of what people ultimately decided, I mean, you know, the cost was in question. I did talk to Daryl earlier also, and, you know, they're back in play and looking at this, but I firmly believe that regardless of your decision, the people need to keep showing up in this meeting, regardless of what the participation is, or either voting member or not, because I think it's that important. You know, Bruce has made a comment about why now. Well, what we find out why now really and why it didn't work before is because we all have a lot of vision for the future, right? And we're paid to see out and start looking at things, but for the most part, until people start feeling some pain inflicted upon them in some way, it's hard to sometimes move that needle and get people to understand that. And we're seeing that now in our county. Water is just one of those issues, but you go to the east side of the county and it's now getting painful to drive on US 90 or get through Castroville. And so there's been discussions for years about what to do in those areas, you know, for infrastructure. And now that it's painful to people, it's like, well, we have to do it. So I feel like on this particular one though, I'm glad where we're at, the juncture we're at, because I don't feel like we're so far behind the ball that we're in panic mode, which is a great place to be. But I think we're definitely at the right time to do this, and to have this group showing up and talking about it all the time, I think is huge for our county. So I just appreciate everybody that keeps showing up, and Scooter and Bruce for y'all taking this initiative and getting everybody together.
Thank you, Judge. Well, with that said, next meeting, Liz?
The next meeting, will we have some type of numbers to be looking at as far as estimates or?
Sure, we'll give an update kind of where we're at.
What do you need, Russell? A month?
Yeah, a month from today, I'm actually out that first week of August, but second week of August, if you want me to be here in person, otherwise I can join remote.
No, we can do that when you get back.
Okay.
Second week of August?
Yeah, week of the 12th.
Yeah, check with the county with commissioners' court meetings.
No, it's 5th.
It's 5th, so you don't have a meeting officially scheduled yet for that second week?
We do not.
You're good, I'm good.
12th is open, 5th is court.
Everybody okay with the 12th?
Yep.
August 12th?
12th it is, 10 o'clock, just like this one was.
I don't know if that's good or not, that's what 54 wedding anniversary.
It's good, it's good.
I will be here.
It's
You
good.
won't be here.
I will be here.
Your wife ain't gonna lie.
No.
She's gonna send it.
Bring cake.
If I'm not here, Jessica take care of it.
We trust in that.
Okay, 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
On the 12th.
Yeah. I hope everybody doesn't get mad at all the email lists in, but I informed her to remind everybody so it stays in the forefront and we can move forward, and hopefully sometime soon we'll have some good results. Michelle, Andrea, do y'all have anything to add before we close out?
No, just always here to help if you guys have any questions. Yeah, thanks for doing the remote option too. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank y'all for attending. Michelle?
No, keep on doing the good work. We're here to answer any questions you've got at any time, so feel free to reach out whenever you need to.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank y'all.
Next meeting, we'll have an update for the grant that me and Liz are meeting on tomorrow, so that will also be an update for next week. Thank you, everybody.